Hey, on today's video, I'm going to show you 4 ways to grill pork steaks or any other kind of steaks on the full-size Smokeslinger. Hey, I'm Frank Cox. I'm known as the BBQ Pit Engineer, and this is my full-size Smokeslinger. So on today's video, like I said, I'm going to show you 4 ways to grill on the full-size Smokeslinger. And when we say grilling, we're normally thinking something like pork steaks, a steak, something like that, pork chops, something that you would grill over like in a regular barbecue grill. But this thing here, we can do it 4 different ways. I'm gonna tell you those 4 ways throughout the rest of the video. If you're in a hurry, go down in the description and you can look at the timeline and you can see which section applies to you the most. But for right now, we're gonna start off with the first way, which is a 2-zone reverse sear. So just to explain the setup right now, I've got the fire lit in the left-hand charcoal basket, and I'm gonna go ahead and move to the other cameras, and I'm gonna show you kind of how to set the tuning plates up and your cooking racks and stuff like that so that we can get a 2-zone setup in this Smokeslinger. Okay, so first off, if you're ever moving stuff around inside of the Smokeslinger and you've got a fire lit in the charcoal basket, get some kind of really good high heat gloves. These are actually called Freedom gloves. I've used them a lot. You can get them on my buddy's website, magnachef.com, or you can go to Amazon. There's a few different brands, but I like his the best because they got these magnets on them. So anyway, I can pick up the tuning plates if I need to, or move these cooking grates out. So for right now, the key to 2-zone cooking is we want to have a grate that can slide back and forth in here. Now, alternatively, you could just have a pork steak laying here and flip it over to the other side if you want, but I prefer to be able to slide my grate left to right. So I'm going to pull one of the top racks out, and I've got a second layer down here as well. I'm going to pull one of those out. By the way, this thermometer says 350 degrees right now. So you don't want to be picking that up with like just a regular old glove. You want to make sure to pick that up with something that can handle the heat. I've got 2 of the tuning plates out already. I'm going to remove a 3rd one out of here. And now we've got our coals directly exposed to our cooking grate surface. And then I can slide the top level or the bottom level grate back and forth in here so that I can move my temperature zones around. And then I've got the exhausts open on this side. That side is closed. So what happens is we get our air coming in from the bottom, and then it goes through the coal bed, and it goes up, and it rolls off of this lid. And as it rolls off the lid, it's gonna go ahead and cascade down and gonna bring our pork steaks up to temperature, and then it'll flow out the exhaust side. So what's important to note about that is that we're burning in the charcoal basket and our air's coming up and it spins off the lid and it'll come back down onto our steaks. So we're not getting direct heat on our steaks yet. And that's gonna allow us to do an actual reverse sear. So we're gonna be able to warm those steaks up and get them up around 112, 115 degrees or so internal temp. By the way, I'm not using thermometers today. I'm doing this 100% by sight and feel. So anyway, but I encourage you, if this is your first time, use a thermometer. That way you can kind of get really close results, and as you practice and practice, you can do better. So once we get up around 115 degrees, we're going to start having a little bit of color, but we're not going to be seared, and we're going to be warmed up on the inside. That way, whenever I move our steak over to sear, we're going to be able to blast that thing with super high temperature, radiant and convective heat, and it's going to go ahead and kind of and caramelize the outside of that and give us that perfect sear. So anyway, let's get a pork steak seasoned up, close this lid and let it come up to temperature, and then we'll get that steak going. We're running about almost 375 on the hot side of this pit, and I want to get out some rubs here. Now, the first one I'm gonna do, if you're from Missouri, or the Midwest, I guess, but if you're from Missouri, you have Blues Hog on your pork steaks. And I'm gonna go out a little bit wild, and we're gonna use some Blues Hog Wild too today because pork's kind of like chicken, and I like it that way. So anyway, the first one we're gonna give a shout out to is a dude in Arizona named John Cook. And John, I really appreciate you sending me this. John has been cooking probably, let me just say, he's been cooking barbecue a long time. And he's cooked on everything from cheap little cookers all the way up to $40,000 rotisseries. He got a hold of his full-size Smokeslinger here the other day, and if you're in the Facebook group, you'll know what Smokeslinger Pit Owners group, you'll know what John thinks about his full-size Smokeslinger. He sent me a little gift in the mail of some of his homemade rub. He gave me some beef rub too, which I didn't bring out because we're not doing beef. But this is his pork and chicken rub, and I'm telling you now, it's really, really good. It's good. It's gonna be really good on these pork steaks. So we're gonna use that on one of them. I've also got some rubs here from my buddy down there, Lou Castro. He's down in San Juan area in Texas. This is his 956. I'm not Spanish. I don't know what en jale a todo is, but it's really good, and it's gonna be very good on pork. Two more here. My buddy Anthony from Barbecue and Craft Company, Pitmaster Anthony, sent me this a while back. It's his Captain Daryl's version of his competition barbecue rub. Really, really good on pork steaks. And once again, because this stuff is so freaking good, Casks and Q, Justin sent me some of his rub. This is his GPS. It's basically his version of salt, pepper, garlic, SPG. This thing works on everything. So we're gonna do 4 different ways. I figured why not try a few different rubs, 4 different rubs and a couple of sauces and maybe some without. So anyway, put all this stuff away except for what we're using right now. And I don't have any fancy shakers for your rub, John, so I'm just gonna do it by hand, and everybody will just have to kind of hang in there with me. Let's get us a pork steak out. There's a pork steak. Now, if that doesn't just look like a pork butt, I don't know what does. But this is basically a section view of a pork butt when you cut it in half. And you'll notice you got the bone side. There's this little oyster in here. That's like the best bite on the whole thing. You know, and then we get on down in here to the rest of the pork butt. All I'm gonna do here, you can see it's about 5/8 of an inch thick or so. I'm just gonna rub it, and then we're gonna put it on the smoker. Now that I've got pork juice on my clean glove, I'll wipe that off real quick. Here we go. I gotta tell you, this stuff is it's just so awesome, this rub. Here we go. Let's just put a little bit on there. That's more than a little bit. Part of the magic with a pork steak is you wanna have a good crust. And so sugar is your friend. Salt and sugar. Salt brings out the good stuff, and sugar caramelizes. Man, that smells so dang good. And we're just gonna pat that in a little bit. I got my other pork steaks down here on some, it's super, super, super hot right now, just so you know. That's why I made this spot out in the woods to cook in front of you and eat in front of you, because it's so stinking hot. The interstate is buckling in mid-Missouri. So there we go. We're gonna let that do its thing here for a minute. And I am pretty much ready to go here. So I'm gonna reset these cameras so you can see what happens. You can see our bed of coals down there rolling. Here's our pork steak. We're gonna, oh, hear that sizzle. That is gonna be good. So now we're just got all this heat coming up. It's rolling off the lid. It's going down. The only way for it to go is out the exhaust. It's gonna roll like that. This is actually called offset mode. So we're gonna let this thing rock here for probably about 4 or 5 minutes or something like that, and then we're gonna flip it. Okay guys, it's been 2 minutes. Now we're gonna go ahead and sear this thing. So we're gonna pick it up, set it down right over the coals. Listen to that sear, boy. Now, something to note about pork, the safe cooking temperature or eating temperature of pork is 145 after they fixed the trichinosis thing. And so my target when I'm cooking pork steaks is going to be to pull this thing off somewhere around 138 to 139, something like that. And then I'm going to tent that thing typically, and I'm going to let it's called carryover temperature. I'm going to let it carry over to get to that 145. In this case, I'm in a little bit of a hurry because I'm hungry. I've been working all day and I haven't had nothing to eat. I'm not going to worry about that on this steak. And the ones that come after, we might mess with that. But we're going to give this here probably about another minute, and then we're going to flip it and look at it. So just stay right there for a minute. And then Lisa's gonna eat a bite with me. And then we're gonna cook a different way. Okay guys, it's been about 1 minute. Let's flip it over. Still sizzling. Yeah, look at that. We're getting that nice color on there. Okay, we're gonna give it about a minute or so on that side. And then we're gonna look at it. All right, guys, here goes the magic. We're gonna blues hog it too. Oh yeah, look at that. So you can start seeing the fat coming through. Now we're gonna set sauce. So we're gonna do that up here off of the coals right now. So this is, I mean, telling you right now, this is eating like a king. Here we go, sauce this other side. Gosh, look at that color. That looks awesome, doesn't it? We're just gonna let this sauce set for a second, and I think we're about there. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's take a bite. Look how beautiful that thing is, huh? All right, guys, let's take a bite of this thing. So this one is with John Cook's pork rub. That is amazing. I can tell just by tasting it in the bag. And then we did blues hog on it, but look at the color on this thing. Would you? I mean, who doesn't want a bite of that right now? So right in, here's the bone right here that we talked about, and here's that oyster. We're gonna save that for dessert. I got my lovely assistant here to take a bite. Check it out, look at that. Very moist. You ready to take a bite?
Just give me a small piece.
Seeing good? Oh man, that is super tender. Here comes Ben. You want a bite? You don't have to be on camera, you just gotta ooh and ah about it. Here, pork steak, vittles. Oh, party foul. There you go. Yeah, that is definitely a keeper. So in here's that oyster. We call that dessert. So you gotta give me an opinion here. What do you think about Mr. John's rub?
It's great.
Sweet, cinnamony. It's got some really good sugar in it. I'm not good enough to know if it's sugar in the raw or not, but it sounds kind of like it. Dadgum, that's good. I like it. Salty. And then that blues hog on top, competition blend, is really good. So I'm gonna oh gosh, that was the most tender bite on the whole thing. Ben, what do you think? You want more? Here, I'm gonna clean this up. I want another bite too. Mom, you want a bite? Don't forget, we gotta eat 4 more or 3 more pork steaks yet. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the pan, clean up my mess, and we're gonna reset. Gonna do reverse sear method 2. In this case, we're gonna have the same setup, but we're gonna raise that charcoal basket up on top of the tuning plates. Once I get the cameras relocated, I'll show you that. But for right now, let's get our second pork steak prepped. So we're gonna go ahead and use some rub here by my buddy Pitmaster Anthony down at Barbecue and Craft Company. This one here is a lot similar to Mr. John Cook's rub, but this one here's got a little more savory. It's not as sweet. So anyway, Anthony does a lot of whole hog cooking competitions and other barbecue contests. And that's kind of what this is spun towards. So here, get us a pork steak. Okay, here we go, guys. Another pork steak here, looks beautiful. Same as the other one. This one here came from farther out, so it's got a smaller bone. And we're just gonna go ahead and just give her a rub. And then while we're resetting the camera, this rub is gonna do its magic. Get us ready to go. Yeah, when I do the reverse sear on pork steaks, I like to go heavy with my rub and then pat it in. What we're gonna do is the salt and other spices inside this rub, the salt's gonna pull out the moisture. It's gonna cause it to start to emulsify the other ingredients in the rub that are non-solubles. But the salt and the sugar are gonna, you can already see it's sweating and starting to pull that moisture out. And that's what it does. So as we let this thing sit here, it's gonna pull that salt in, and the sugar is gonna go in just a little bit, but then all the pepper and everything else in the rub, cinnamon, stuff like that, non-solubles, they're going to start to get wet and emulsify. We talk about that all the time in our videos. That's how we're gonna get the flavor. Then we're just gonna touch up the edges here just a little bit. We get a good even color. Boom, there we go. Let that do its magic. So now we're gonna set this thing up for the reverse sear mode 2. So here we go. We're gonna open this up. Like I said, you're gonna have some super good hot gloves if you're changing cooking methods in the middle of a cook. Then we're gonna take one of these tuning plates and we're gonna slide it over. So we've got our 2 tuning plates sitting in here so that we can put this charcoal basket right up on top of those tuning plates. just like that. Then we're gonna go ahead and close this down. Okay guys, now we're gonna go for it. Here we go. Same method as before. The only difference is our coal bed is much higher inside. This is ideal if you're trying to do reverse sear on ribeyes or something like that. What's gonna happen now is this is gonna cook much faster. We're still gonna go with more like a 3.5 to 4 minute, and then we're gonna flip it 3.5 to 4 minute. And then when we slide it over, we're gonna go a lot less on our timing. Maybe 1 minute, 1 minute, instead of 1.5 minutes and 1.5 minutes, and then setting sauce. So let's let that go for about 4 minutes. All right, guys, it's been 4 minutes. Let's give her a flip. Man, the sear on this thing is gonna be insane. I can already tell. Let's see if we're up to snuff right now. Oh yeah, I'd say give it probably 5 minutes this time. We're not quite as warm as I wanna be. There we go. Okay guys, here we go. Time to sear. Okay, now it's simple. Just push it right over the top like this, and we're just gonna let it sit there and coast. Now we've got probably from the top of our coals to the bottom of this rack, we've probably got about, I don't know, 3.5 inches. If you wanted to, you could build the coal bed up higher. I don't think you need hardly any at all in here. We're just gonna let that sit there for probably about a minute. Then we're gonna flip it and check it. Okay guys, it's been 1 minute. Now, whenever you're doing, boy, you can smell that pork steak smell right now. Oh my goodness. A little tip for you real quick is if you decided that you wanted to not burn yourself, you could slide this rack back over when you're flipping. Yeah, buddy, look at that. Love that color. Looks great. We're gonna go back over the top and we're gonna give it about a little more than a minute this time, I think. Probably 1 minute and 20 seconds. Oh, one more thing real quick before I forget. If you're looking at this and you're like, well, what do I do if I got a whole, I wanna use the whole surface to do burgers or pork steaks or chicken or whatever you wanna do, and you want direct fire. So you can do the same thing on this side with this charcoal basket, pull it up on top of these tuning plates as well, and you've got that whole surface. Or you can pull all the tuning plates out, leave both drawers in the bottom, and build fires down there just like we did in method 1. The only difference is you're not reverse searing, you're just cooking, grilling. Been 1 minute and 20. My gosh, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it, man. You can hear that sizzle. Okay, now we're gonna set our sauce, but this time, for the guys in the comments that are like, do that sauce right over the coals, that's what we're gonna do this time. We're gonna set sauce right over the coals for those guys, because they're all, I know my guys up in St. Louis and Illinois and all that, maybe some Iowa folk, that's what they're saying right now. They're like, oh my goodness, what is he doing? Here we go. Do this up. We're gonna give it 30 seconds over them coals, and then we're gonna flip it, touch it up, hit it again. All right, guys, let's do it. Flip it over. Oh yeah, I'm not even gonna hit it again. Look at that, it looks so good. It's time, you ready? Let's check it out. The smells are just unbelievable. Yeah, look at this. Let's just go ahead and move him off of there. Okay, what do you think of that? Let's look at the other side. Let's get it up on the table and take a bite. Check this out. Perfectly done. Great sear. Here's the best bite on the whole chop right here, buddy. Tell me what you think. Mr. Anthony's rub. Oh my gosh. So this time we seared that sauce right over the top of the coals. You can taste that smoky, you know, grilled flavor like you like on a pork steak. Oh man. pork steaks are so cheap and so easy to do. So yeah, so we started out low and slow on that first part to bring it up. We spent about 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes per side. And then once we were ready to sear, we just slid the grate over, and the coals are, like I said, about 3.5, 4 inches from the bottom of these steaks. So that just basically brought that fire up a lot closer. We got a little better sear. We got some more smokier flavor on it. The next way we're gonna do this is going to be even closer to the coals. It's a method that I kind of came up with one day when I was doing a bunch of ribeyes. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's so good. Golly, it just tears apart. I mean, watch it. It's so tender. Here, this bite. This is the one you want. Check that out. Completely worth it. Okay guys, for this next method, what we're gonna do, I dumped out my coals, I put everything back the way it normally goes on the Smokeslinger. And what we're gonna do on this next method is something I came up when I was doing some reverse seared pork chops that were pretty thick. I've used this for ribeyes, but in this situation, I wanna get super hot on the sear. So we're gonna use the same method where we reverse seared, but this one, the coals are only gonna be about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches away. Because I've been doing this for so long, I want to start completely over with a brand new bed of coals and show you the full thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this set up. So when you get your Smokeslinger, whether it's a mini or a full size, you're going to have your drawer, and then inside that drawer is this insert, is what we call it. So you're going to pull this insert out, and we're going to set it up on top of the tuning plates and then build our fire right on top of that. Like that. And then we're going to put the open side of this insert up. We're setting it right on top of these tuning plates right here. Now the benefit to this is that 100% of our combustion air can come up and go right through this insert. Now if you want, you can set both of your inserts on here. Slide this one all the way to the front, grab the one out of the other drawer, set it in here like this. Boom, now you've got enough width there. You can sear this entire real estate right here. We're just gonna work in the middle for this one though, because we don't need to build, we're just doing a couple pork steaks, so we don't need too much room. Okay, for this, we're just using some Royal Oak lump. Not my preferred charcoal, but it works. Now to light this, we're just gonna use the good old Texas match here. Okay guys, so here we go. We've got the inserts set up. We've got a pretty nice bed of coals that's still kind of going a little bit. You've got your top rack for reverse sear. We're gonna coast up to temperature there. We still have our exhausts on the left-hand side, so everything's coming up and going the same direction. And then we're gonna move this lower rack directly over these coals. Now we've got probably about 1.5 to 2 inches distance from the top of those coals to this other rack. That's going to allow you to get the hottest sear you can possibly get without just being right inside those coals. So we're going to go ahead and close this down and let nature take its course. Let's get started on our next pork steak. I'm going to go ahead and use some of this rub from my buddy Lou Castro in Halle Todo or something like that. Anyway, 956 is the number on the front. This is really great stuff when it comes to pork. So we're going to use that in our reverse sear method with super hot searing. There we go. Another beautiful pork steak. Now we're getting down closer to the middle of that bone. You can kind of see what we're doing there. Try to get that in the light. Looking really good. Not as dark a red color on this rub. Don't know what's in it, but I know it tastes good. This rub is available all over Texas for sure. You can go to HEB. You can go to a lot of different barbecue stores down there. He goes out and cooks pretty regular just to demo the product. Lou does. He's also in our group. Be sure to check him out. He's got 5 different seasonings, I believe, and this is the one that I use on pork. Let that sweat just a minute while I move these cameras and get set up for the next shot. Okay guys, here we go. Gonna reverse sear. I'm gonna put him right up here on the edge this time, a little bit closer to the direction of airflow. Make sure he's not folded up underneath of itself or anything, and bunch it up a little bit. Now we're gonna let this thing cruise along here for about 3 minutes and then we're gonna check it. Okay guys, it's been 3.5 minutes here. Let's see what we got. Starting to warm through already. Let's go ahead and flip it. Yeah, remember, we're gonna go direct over the coals and we're gonna be super close. So we don't wanna overshoot this internal temperature or we'll be up on that end of it where it's dry and there's no moisture in it. Anyway, we got her flipped. Let's give it another 3.5 minutes and we'll check it. So like I said, we're trying to bring this up. We want to get somewhere, if you remember the beginning of the video, around 120, and I mean that is precisely 120 degrees. Now, we're gonna roll it over this time when we put it on the coals. And when we go down on here, we're gonna give it like 1 minute, directly over them coals like that. We're gonna close this door and get right at it. Okay, there's our little alarm there for 1 minute, and we're gonna hurry up and flip this over. Oh my goodness, check this out. Would you look at that? That sizzle. All right, let's hit it. 1 minute on the other side, guys. There you go, guys, let's check it out. Now the thing to remember is that we're a lot closer to our coals this time. So we don't want to overcook this chop, but we do want to get an amazing sear on that. And I'm telling you right now, that's the pretty side right there. This side here looks good too, but we don't want to overcook. That's why I didn't let it go as long. Anyway, so we're going to close this down and I'm going to set this over on the board and move our cameras. Now on the other chops, we put sauce on them and let the sauce set up 2 different ways. We had it over on the low side on the first version 1. On the second one, we had it directly over the coals. This time I don't really want to sauce this chop because I really like the way this rub stands all by itself. So let's go ahead and cut into this thing and see what we think. And here's that really good tender piece over here too I forgot to talk about. That's kind of like a spinalis of sorts. So I always go in there, but let me cut right down the middle. Let's get a look at that right there. Juicy. You can see that moisture in there. It's all over my cutting board. All right, here's that bite. Let's see if it pulls apart. Nice pull apart. Oh my gosh. I love how that rub tastes on this. Oh man, you ought to just the flavors that pop out. Big punch in the mouth with some salt. That sugar is like really nicely caramelized on top. You can get some Southwest kind of flavors out of that, like what you'd expect in like a carnita or something like that. Man, a pinch of lime on that. Oh, son of a gun. Lou, that's a good rub, bro, if you're watching this video. I really, really like that. It's also coarse enough grain. This is right at the edge here. So it's got a little bit of a pull. Still, it's super tender. Anyway, that coarse grain salt on there is just a really nice touch with this. I would not sauce with this unless you're going to make tacos or something out of it. You know, oh man, is that ever good? Yeah, man. What I need right now is a cerveza. That's what I need. I'm just going to eat a minute. Dadgum, that's good. Don't forget, we got to get into that oyster too yet. I don't know if that's really what that's called, but that's what I call it, the oyster. It's always in the hook right there. I think technically that's like a piece of that's a different, what we call a money mussel in competition barbecue. It's just so good. Oh yeah. Now for the last way to cook, to grill on this, we're actually going to do more of a reverse griddle. So that sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? I've got these things that go on this full-size Smokeslinger called planchas. In this case, we're only going to use half of it. Each cooker, when you order a plancha setup, you get 2 pieces. So that whole 4 foot wide can be used as a flat griddle. No different than any other kind of griddle top. The only difference is that here we're cooking with coals, and the coals are spread out evenly underneath of the planchas, so you get a dead even temperature all the way across the cooking surface. It's not going to have a hot spot where a burner is. If you ever notice on a lot of the gas griddles that you get, you'll see that along the outside edges of that is a different temperature than in the middle, right over where the burners are. Not in this case. We've got dead even temperature all the way along that. As a matter of fact, if you cruise around on this channel, you'll see a related video where we did an asado cook with my buddy Todd Johns from Plowboys Barbecue. By the way, shout out to Plowboys. Anyway, On that, we did homemade Plowboys bacon, onion, jalapeno bourbon jam. So it was like a bacon jam, and it had onions and jalapenos and bourbon in it, like Jack. It was phenomenal, and you can see the whole method for making jams and stuff like that on these planchas. But you'll hear him talk about how well they operate. Oh my gosh, this is just so good. All right, I gotta stop eating. Okay guys, it's been a super hot day out here in mid-Missouri, and I'm ready to do method number 4. Before I get started, I wanted to tell you a little tiny little story. While I was on the phone with Mr. Cook, Mr. John Cook, the guy that sent me the first rub we used in the video here, he told me one of his secrets when it comes to spare ribs, baking up. So this is kind of crazy. Tallow does the tallow thing on beef. I'm gonna see if baking up does the same thing on pork. So specifically this time pork steaks. He said that he uses this on his chickens, he uses it on other stuff. Anyway, it just seemed like a no-duh obvious thing that might be kind of cool, but we're gonna do a different method with it though. Like I said before, here in a minute I'm gonna move the cameras and show you what we got going behind us, but we're gonna use the planchas. And the planchas are basically a flat grill that can go on the Smokeslinger, and you can run it with the lid open or the lid closed, either way. In this case, we have the cooker tilted this way, like this, so the grease will run and pool down in that side, and I can slide, if I just use one plancha, I can slide it side to side. We're gonna deep fry that pork steak in some bacon grease, kind of like we would in a skillet on the stove. But before we do that, we're gonna put it over on the other side here, and we're going to basically do the same process we did reverse sear. So we're gonna let it come up to temperature a little bit internally, let that rub do its thing. In this case, we're gonna use some of my buddy Casks and Q, Justin. This is his GPS seasoning. Let's get that pork steak out and get it seasoned up. Bam, right there. Oh, this is a good one, I can done tell. I can almost taste this right now. Let's see what this GPS does here. Like I said, this is his version of an SPG rub, salt, pepper, garlic, and some other stuff. And then when this is done, we're gonna put it on the Blues Hog Wild, because I bet it's gonna be pretty dang good that way. Kind of like deep fried chicken wings, you know, except pork steak. I think pork steak's gonna taste better though. So while this thing is letting nature do its job, let's get these cameras reset and we'll start looking at planchas and stuff. Okay guys, for those that can't see the thermometer, it is running just over 400 degrees right now. And I'm gonna open this thing up and let you see what a plancha looks like. So just like before, and that one is seasoned very nicely. The coals, just like before, I added a little bit of coals to this because I had a little bit of downtime doing my cleanup and stuff. But anyway, the coals are directly underneath, set up the same way as before with the inserts upside down. Now another secret is you could just put the whole charcoal basket here if you wanted to. Same deal as this. And like I said, we're listed this way so everything's running away from our drain, and you can see our drain hole right here. We're not gonna get this pork steak completely under oil. We're just gonna put a big enough pool here that we can slide this over directly over the coals and just let this thing sit here in this little spot with oil on it. Let's go ahead and add our bacon grease to this, the Bacon Up. It claims to be regular rendered bacon fat that they have clarified, so it is shelf stable. Now, a word of caution, when you are cooking with the planchas, that grease hole, any grease that's in here will run out. So make sure that you've got your direction correct. But I've got a nice little pool over here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. I think you can see the listing edge of it up here, but it's puddled really nicely downhill and looks like it is already kind of starting to smoke. So I'm gonna move it down. We don't need to quite be that hot. Now we're gonna go ahead and put our pork steak in. Same method as before. We're gonna go ahead and shorten it though to 3 minutes because we are deep frying this thing. And also our heat now is rolling off a little lower. It's rolling off underneath of the plancha and headed this way. Well, you can smell that bacon grease doing its thing. All right, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and let that pork steak do its thing for a minute, and I can smell the bacon already. Okay guys, here we go. It's been 3 minutes again. I really like how that is. Let's go ahead and there's what you're looking at right there. It's just come up to temperature really nicely. Let's go ahead and hit that in the oil. You ready? Here we go. Can you see that? Right in the plancha, in the grease. We're gonna shut this lid for a minute. Little quick note here. We used to do this with a lot of different things, but the restaurant industry does this with chicken wings a lot. They call it a par bake. So they'll par bake the wings in an oven or in a pizza oven or something like that, and then pull them whenever they get to a safe eating temperature. Put them in refrigeration until there's like a use for it, and then like if there's an order for wings or whatever, they can flash fry those real quick. We did this at the NFL draft in 2024 in Kansas City. We did hundreds and hundreds of slabs of ribs this way. Here we go, we're gonna flip it. Dummy me doesn't have a flipper, so we gotta use our glove and be careful not to burn yourself. If you do that, boy, that crust is awesome. All right, here we go. I'm gonna shut her down for another minute. But anyway, at the NFL draft that year in 2024 when we did it, we seasoned the ribs, smoked them, brought them up to about 172 or so. Then we brought them back down to a safe holding temperature overnight in a refrigerated truck. And then at the end of the deal, we would sit there and cut those up the next morning so we could just flash fry those ribs. And what was so cool is when you flash fry those ribs, they almost popcorn. And then you toss those again in a tub with rub in it. And when you're tossing those ribs like you would dry rub on wings, it just gets down in the pores of those ribs. It's almost like a popcorn, fatty rib. It was just awesome. I would call those party ribs is what I would call them. But this is a similar approach except using pork steaks. Let's get that pork steak out of there. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, of course, I've got a hot glove on. You got to be careful doing this, but I'm going to lift this and slide it off of that fire so my grease doesn't burn. Like that. Now, we're off from on top of the coals. The next thing we're going to do is start dampering this thing down because you cannot handle that oil right now. And boy, look at that chop. I am here to tell you, holy smoke. Let's get that on the cutting board and let it chill out a minute. So right now this oil is sitting right here and we've got it pulled away from direct heat. We're gonna go ahead and shut our dampers. We're gonna close this lid for now. All right, let's move these cameras and eat us some ribs. Okay guys, I don't know about you, but I am excited for this one. Look at the juice pooling on top. Let me just taste that. Oh yeah, that's pork juice. That's no bacon grease. I bet this one's gonna be darn tasty. Here's my favorite bite on the whole. Look at that. I just want to take a bite like it is. Let's see if it's tender. Oh yeah, look at that. It's good. Salt, pepper, garlic, just like you'd expect. Fried so it's cooked all the way through. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of that in the back end. Boy, it just tastes like pork. Now that's something important to talk about is whenever you're cooking like this and you start trying to make with a bunch of action with layers of flavor and stuff like that, you can actually make it not taste like pork because you put so much stuff on there. A word of advice would be to kind of tone down a little bit on if you want it to taste like pork, which you just can't beat that pork flavor with some salt. It just is good. If you really want to wow somebody, don't try to blow their minds with a bunch of seasonings. Just something simple like this SPG or these other rubs that we use tonight in the right arena can let the pork shine through, and that's what you're really going for. But right now, more than anything in the world, I want to get out some of this Blues Hog. So at this point in the game, I haven't like over seasoned this stuff with anything. Now we got a whole world of options we can do. We can put some barbecue sauce on this. We can do some Blues Hog Wild and make like chicken wings or party wings or something out of pork. We could go in here and just dry rub this with something else and just see what it tastes like. But I'm gonna do this bite right here. Let's see, that's just a good old bite. One of those pieces I tore off. Man, I'll be honest, if it wasn't pork, it would taste just like a chicken wing right now. And that Blues Hog Wild is pretty good stuff. I do dig it. Tim and them did a really good job with this, the Blues Hog clan. Man, that's just good. I'm tempted to sauce this whole thing and put it right back on the cooker. I'm not gonna do that. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a triangle piece. By the way, those guys that have been washing, it's taken me quite a lot of time to do my dishes in between, but I have been doing my dishes, so we are following some really precise food safety rules here. Never let raw touch your cooked food. So here we go. We're going to set that right back on the cooker and set that sauce. So in the meantime, while we're waiting on that, oh my goodness. Guys, I'm telling you, this is a fun thing to cook on. I've had my full-size Smokeslinger since probably December, January, something like that. Just guessing, I haven't looked at the notes. You know, I'm an offset guy from the word go. I've been cooking on every kind of offset stick burner, reverse flow. As a matter of fact, most of the math out there rooted in smoker builder forums back in the day. I've been selling plans to design your own stuff since 2010. My first instinct with all this is just to go straight for a wood-fired cooker and cook with like an offset or a reverse flow. But I gotta tell you, I'm having a lot of fun on this full-size Smokeslinger. So every single day we get questions from guys that are like, what should I get? What should I get? Should I get a full-size or a mini, or should I get a offset? I mean, because we're like so offset smoker dependent. The truth is, if you had to look yourself in the mirror and promise yourself that you weren't going to buy something else someday, and you're a hardcore barbecue guy like me, you'd be lying to yourself. So don't get all bent out of frame about which one you get first. Just get the one that feels good. For me, I swear I would never say this on camera, but I'm going to say it. I fire this full-size Smokeslinger up 3 times to every 1 time I fire up the offset. Now, the Liberty 94 is the culmination of, I don't know how many years, 17 years of my barbecue history, even before I was doing this for a living, you know. But it's got basically everything good that I would ever throw at an offset is in that Liberty 94 offset. And if you're a hardcore offset guy, you will not be sorry you got that cooker. However, the flexibility on this full-size Smokeslinger lets me do stuff like this. Seriously, I think I would go for that full size every single time, no matter what it is. And it doesn't matter what else you cook on. That thing complements everything. It's not going to do it's not going to be like a cooker that you're going to buy to replace everything you want. Maybe you will, but still, just live life and have fun, and don't be shook up about which one you should buy first. If there's any doubt in your mind at all, I promise you will be happy with the full-size Smokeslinger. My next video on this cooker is a Texas-style offset brisket, just to prove it can be done. I've already done it once, and that brisket was every bit as good, if not better, than my Liberty 94 offset brisket. So anyway, that's a pretty hardcore statement from a guy that sells this stuff for a living. I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I actually believe this stuff, and I do it 7 days a week, 24/7 in my mind. And this is the most fun I've ever had in my whole life. But we have a chicken wing style pork steak over here that has some sauce setting on it, so let's get that. Oh, goodness gracious. See, you can do something similar to this on the offset, but the Liberty 94 just has its own little thing, you know? You should just smell that right now. Full-size Smokeslinger has its own little thing, man. Yeah, man. Imagine the juiciest chicken wing you ever had in your life running down your cheeks. Salt and pepper, nothing fancy on the flavors, like we didn't go overkill on anything. Put a little bit of your favorite wing sauce on that. I'm pretty partial to the Blues Hog Wild right here for some reason. It's different than a wing sauce, but it's pretty balanced. I just like it. On pork, it's just as good as it is on chicken, let me tell you. The only thing I think would be better than this is the raspberry chipotle that he makes. That is some legit stuff too. But anyway, guys, if you want to get your own Smokeslinger, whether it be a Liberty 94 offset or one of the 2 direct heat cookers, the mini or the full size, go visit smokeslinger.com. And you know what? You can go ahead and just check out on the website if you want. You'll pay a flat rate of $7.99 shipping, or you can pick it up in Texas. But I recommend, if you decide you want your pit shipped, go ahead and click the Get a Quote button. That's basically on the top of every page on the website. And what'll happen is you'll get in touch with Dave or another member of our sales team, and he'll get you a quote with the cheapest shipping he possibly can. But there's also special promos that we run that are only on the Get a Quote form. So the website facing price is good. You can pay it. You won't have any regrets. You'll love it. You get the same service, the same pit and everything. Or if you want a little bit more personal touch and a good shipping price, give me a holler, give us a holler through that Get a Quote form. And if you're worried about if this thing will work for you, go to our Smokeslinger Pit Owners group on Facebook. There's a whole bunch of guys in there like Mr. Jimmy Hooks or John Cook, or a number of guys, TD Price, Anthony Nicolosi, a bunch of guys in there that all have these pits, and they'll be the first ones to tell you what to expect. I haven't heard anybody be mad at me yet. So anyway, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching this video. By the way, I'm going to turn it into a couple of blog posts on the website as well, and there's going to be some recipes on there. Check the description for helpful links. And also, while you're at it, if you don't mind, give this channel a like and a subscribe and all that stuff. Till next time, keep your smoke thin and blue, and we'll see you on the flip side.